Again, my name is Tim Carr, the SoBe West Neighborhood Association, and tonight I would like to thank Temple Restaurant and Bar, located at 9th and Alton Road. They provided some nice little snacks in the back, some of the craft beer and wine. So please, this is a casual meeting. Go up, get some, take some home with you. We have a nice supply back there for you to enjoy. Again, they've been open for a little over a year now with this new business model. It's a nice casual establishment, so stop in there, help support them. That's what we're all about, and featuring these different businesses in our community. So tonight, we have a full agenda and a lot of top tier speakers tonight, as well as the SoBe West election. As you know, we started a year ago, and tonight is our first night for an actual election as well for the association, so we look forward to having that in just a few minutes. But before we get started, I always like to call out the people in the room. First of all you, the attendees. Secondly, and most importantly, our mayor, Mayor Minor. Good evening. We also have Commissioner Suarez. Where are you? Raise your hand. Thank you. Brandon today. We also have some other aides as well. Raise your hand. Thank you. From Commissioner Dominguez's office, right? Thank you. And also in May as well, who's the aide for Commissioner Lopez, who's going to be our speaker tonight. So, but before we get started, I also wanted to call out Liz, if you could come forward, Commissioner Rodriguez. She has been a godsend over the last couple of weeks during I want to recognize her and her team in particular because we had some issues with the homeless, as you know, in our community, whether it's at the Bikini Hostel, camping underneath MacArthur Bridge, or trespassing on the Bentley Bay property at the south end where the retail establishment is. So she's been very proactive in her team and getting a police car out there, positioned at Bikini Hostel until we got it gated. Now it's completely gated, so that's secure, thank you. And they also this weekend, because we had a rise, it's kind of like when you squeeze the balloon, where do they go next? They came down to the Bentley Bay by MacArthur Bridge and started fighting and hanging out. So she positioned another decoy car there for us starting yesterday. So hopefully we'll continue to keep the pressure on, keep our community safe for you all as well in that process. So what I'd like to do right now is keep the momentum going is I'm going to turn it over to the mayor real quick, let you speak.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim, and SoBe West, and everybody for being here. I'll try to be brief, just hit on some rapid fire. Obviously, spring break, we can never lose sight of what we used to have on our streets just a couple of years ago. And now, literally, I was out there Saturday night, people enjoying, families enjoying. It's been a complete game changer, and what's great is we've been able to relax some of it, so our businesses are busy, and it's been going great. Hopefully, whoever's homesteaded here got your tax refund check. So we've got a lot of new businesses moving in. We're trying to fill up a lot of that retail space. We're doing great. We just got our numbers for January. They call the February resort tax, but it's the January numbers year over year. There's several metrics, food and beverage, resort tax. We are double digits increase over last year. Our hotel room rate for January was the #1 in the United States on literally every metric you use. Occupancy, hotel, daily room rate, revenue per available room. So we are a very popular destination. It wasn't even close. But obviously we got to focus on the resident quality of life issues, and we're doing that. Major crimes are down. Our homeless numbers are actually the lowest ever that we've ever had in our city, but they're 93. So 3 years ago, we were at 235. We're at 93 now. That's 60% lower, and it's steadily going down. There's a lot of great work by our police department and our homeless outreach team, but 93 is not zero, as Tim just pointed out. We still have to be vigilant because those numbers can change very quickly in a big way. We're very compassionate. We spend millions of dollars to help homeless individuals get back on their feet with shelter and other programs, but ultimately we're going to enforce the law. I just want to finish off. Hopefully you've taken the water taxi, which has been a great success. Commissioner Lopez took a trip with me, and I want to give a shout out to Commissioner Suarez because not that long ago we used to look out here and see all those derelict boats that would be out there, and you really drove that. Kumbaya moments.
Scofflaws. Remember the scofflaws.
So, I've been trying for several years to crack down on these modified mufflers, these exhausts. It really hurts our quality of life. We've brought in cameras, which the state won't allow us to issue tickets. I've actually recently brought a new item to have overnight shifts, police departments stationed at various points in our city to crack down on that. We've actually increased significantly the number of tickets we are issuing. It's still a plight. We still know it's an issue, but we are very much focusing on that, knowing that those modified mufflers, we're actually decreasing, and the county's doing this as well. We're also doing it. We're decreasing the amount that the officer, when they hear it, doesn't have to be 100 feet away. 25 feet is enough if it's above a certain level. That also holds true for boats as well. So if there's anything we can do, please do reach out. Really appreciative to SoBe West, really doing a great job keeping us abreast of all the issues that we need to address, and I think we do. So thank you. God bless.
I could have Commissioner Suarez come on up for a few moments. This weekend, and again, he's going to talk a little bit about what he's done with the mayor and the rest of the commission team to bring back a new focus for South Beach and fitness and wellness for the month of March. I had the chance to witness them doing a push-up contest. Challenge you guys to do it one more time. We would do it. They did a great job. So this is Lollapalooza on the beach. We had 3 out of 4 days of phenomenal weather, and it was really exciting to see the activation, the tourists from all over the world that were there, that I had a chance to talk to and witness in this whole process. So thank you all. I know more to come. We've really grown in this whole momentum. But I'm going to turn over to you to talk a little bit about that, and also to recognize you and thank you again for really cleaning up this eyesore. Not only getting rid of them, but the impact that it has on the Bay Health as well.
Yeah,
So thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you. Is this for the Zoom?
Yes.
Hi guys, Commissioner Suarez. If you saw the reports yesterday, look at Daytona. What happened in Daytona? There was a shooting, there was a stampede, and that used to be Miami Beach every year. And we would literally have to take bleach and wash blood off the sidewalks. And that was just normal. That was a normal occurrence on spring break. With the mayor's help and the new commission that got elected, we changed that. We completely we really cracked down on sort of mayhem. I took aim at a lot of these nightclubs that really was bringing a lot of the bad element here. We actually passed legislation making it harder for your nightclub from yesteryear to open up, where you would have, bottle service, and you have those sparklers, and then there was like 1,000 people that show up, or they've been waiting outside, they couldn't get in, and then that's when the shootings would start. And we passed legislation saying, look, if you're going to open up a nightclub, you have to incorporate some food, okay, and have a much more upscale experience. And so that helped, but it wasn't enough, obviously. We really needed to change the direction of what spring break meant. And similar to what we did for Memorial Day with the Air and Sea Show, I had a vision for spring break to be fitness, March fitness. And we brought High Rocks, we brought Lollapalooza, the Miami Marathon, and model volleyball. So it really came down to, can Miami Beach be the fitness capital of the world during March? And what we saw this past weekend, and we're going to continue to see for the next couple weekends, and what we saw last year, we see a complete change. I mean, you can go down Ocean Drive and you feel safe. And everyone is civilized, businesses are thriving, and it's a great experience for not only visitors, but for your residents, right? And I think that's going to continue. Hopefully with the commission, we're going to extend fitness March activation for years to come. And so that's sort of my vision for what Miami Beach can be in March for year after year. And we're going to replace the spring break rowdy crowd of what we've always seen and what's happening, unfortunately, in other cities in Florida. So I want to thank the mayor and my colleagues for help passing that and making it a reality. And it's funny because we used to spend, I think it was like $2 million a year on like programming for concerts on Miami Beach. And obviously after the concert was over, everyone would leave and there'd be a shooting. Now we're spending a quarter of that. I think it was like $600,000 for 3 years or something close to that. And look at what value we get in Miami Beach. So we're spending a quarter of what we used to spend, and it's a much better result and a return on our investment. So that's something that you can look forward to as our mayor and commission want to reactivate March. I want to pivot to the boats. And like I said it over there, I really couldn't have done it without Commissioner Lopez, because she was a state representative at the time. And I had started my campaign of cleaning up the waterways as soon as I got elected in 23. And I was very close to passing a similar bill. It wasn't as good as the one that we passed. It died in the House, I believe. And I met with Commissioner Lopez, and I took her out on the boat. Took her out on Marine Patrol, and she couldn't believe what she saw. Like everyone knows what it looked like a year ago. I mean, you look on Google Maps, there was like 200 boats out there. And then there was boats literally in the water, sunken with the mast sticking up. And she couldn't believe it. And I got her to be the bill sponsor. I got a senator from Jonathan Martin from Lee County. He came out on the boat. He saw it. He couldn't believe it. Basically, anyone that came out saw what was going on. They couldn't believe their eyes. And so I took a bunch of videos. I went underwater. I got my GoPro. I showed like the devastation on the seabed floor. And believe it or not, I went to Tallahassee a bunch. I spoke to as many representatives and senators as I could. I got our city to hire the best legal team for the state of Florida. We got them hired. They had the connections with all of our representatives and our senators. And with a little bit of luck also, we got it passed. And basically what it does is it limits overnight anchoring to 30 days and a 6-month period. So, before, a lot of these boats, they were Airbnb-ing on their boats. Many of these owners had multiple boats because they had so much trash and crap that they figured, I'll buy a $500 boat, anchor it, and I can put all my engine parts on one boat, I can put my clothes on the other boat, and before you know it, you have, a junkyard of boats sitting out there. And the laws at the time, and which the current laws, they're basically unenforceable. So now, 30 days and a 6-month period, and you have to leave. You have to move out of our city, and you have to go to the next city. I'm working with the county, hopefully, and with Commissioner Lopez, to make it a county-wide ordinance. So they can't just go here and then go to the city of Miami, and then the city of Miami go to North Village. Hopefully you talk about that. But we can only control what happens in Miami Beach. And I actually, when I came here, I sent these boats to Marine Patrol. He said in a couple weeks they're also going to be gone. So, anything on the water, I'm going to be, I guess, the subject matter expert. I have a boat. I'm always on the water. I kind of grew up around the water. And what I love seeing about our waterways is that you see the manatees coming back, you see the stingrays, sea turtles, you see real wildlife here, and it's not being polluted by irresponsible boat owners. So I appreciate, again, Commissioner Lopez, you can speak a little bit to it. And then I also want to thank, SoBe West. Tim Carr was a big advocate for this. And Tom, where are you, Tom? Tom was a big advocate. When I started it wasn't easy. A lot of these boaters, they're squatters really, they waged a campaign against me. They were literally from my house holding up signs. That's because they were making so much money. They were renting out on a monthly So I'm glad that's over. And anything else that I can help with, I'm going to be here after the meeting. If you want to have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
I did a really good job. I've been on this water like 24 years now, where it seems that every so often they'll clear out and then they progress back, but it seems that we've found a way now to keep it so that they can't come back. Is that right?
Yeah, and the reason why there's still some lingering votes is because it's limited to enforcement. And so enforcement, what it means for Marine Patrol is that there's a guy there, his name's Tom Fleischhauer. He has to get here at 4 o'clock in the morning. And he has to literally wear a body camera, observe that the boat has been anchored 1 hour before, is it 1 hour or 30 minutes, Commissioner? 1 hour before sunrise. And he can he can only do it for a certain number of boats, and he has to do it, and he has to record that it's been 30 days. So that's why you see, ever since the north going south, it's been clearing out, and that's sort of the way this has to be enforced, because we can't use a drone, unfortunately, or surveillance cameras based on the state law. It has to be a physical person, officer being there. And so that's kind of like why it's a little slow, but pretty soon this is the last day.
Really good.
Any other questions?
You guys, all the ones that remain are still from Waverly. All the ones towards Sunset Harbor are all gone, except for the one big blue rascal, which has been there. I was curious why our building retains the boats. I live facing the bay, and I've seen the boats that come ashore to bring people to the water. There's a lot of debris left in this park. So I'm just curious. I did see the boat that we patrolled last week going boat to boat, so that was encouraging. Can they move in the same areas anywhere?
Outside of my beach boundary.
Okay, so they can just move to a different buoy and then that counts.
No, they can't. They have to be out of the municipal waterways. Now, you have a county commissioner here that can make the ordinance for the whole county, which would extend the boundary even more. So they would have to go to Monroe County or Broward County, or any other county besides Dade County. So,
There's a lot better code there.
yeah, of course. And then that's the only reason why enforcement is slow, is because it's limited to literally one man, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he's not here 7 days a week. He's 3 or 4 days a week. So you track that on the log, and that's what happens. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, great.
Kevin, if you can come on up real quick. I wanted to, again, recognize a local resident. And again, back to the mayor and Commissioner Suarez's efforts with Spring Bay. Back in 2021, when all the havoc was going on with the shootings, he and I were some of the local residents actually activate, at Sutnick and other city meetings, talking about how we need to reshape spring break with health, wellness, and fitness initiatives. And the good thing is with this new commission and Suarez and the mayor, they jumped on it. The previous people, it was like talking with glass eyes, went right over their heads. We really did get a lot of momentum, but now we have it. We appreciate it, and Kevin continues to move the ball forward and has a quick idea, and he wants to survey your thoughts on it real quick. Kevin? Introduce yourself, too.
Can everyone hear me? Great. Kevin Kruger, I'm a 9-year resident, and for my first 2 years living here, I heard a lot of complaints leading up to the month of March and what we do about spring break. And I don't even like to use the term, so I just want to move past that and target new tours. So in fact, the City Commission in 2019 did contract my team of, I know I'm suited up. My day job is commercial real estate brokerage. But also, we got commissioned or contracted to do fitness classes on the sand. You guys might remember, right before COVID lockdown, we had a basketball court at 10th Street Beach, so we have some experience. And then we had some hiccups. COVID lockdown, right when we had 2 NBA veterans ready to coach a clinic. I recognized at that time, these little hour-long fitness classes were not going to sell out the hotel rooms that I had envisioned as we're working towards now with Commissioner Suarez's efforts to, he's humbly understating what it took, I'm sure, for you to pull Wadapalooza from Bayside over to Miami Beach. So that's a big victory to shift them into the month of March. The half marathon's a great start, and I've been dreaming up for 7 years the idea of an Olympic style, not an Olympic level, but a 3-week pro-am sports tournament. So I would ask you guys if you'd like to celebrate and rebrand our city's month of March under Miami Beach Games and then have pro-am. So if that makes any sense to folks, you'd invite college level NIL athletes. The sponsors might be able to deflect, I think some of the costs you said came down from previous programming. I want to bring our costs down for programming. And I'll be presenting in the spring to the commission, to our tourism department. So I'm asking for input from the neighbors, the residents, because I saw this first and foremost as a public safety issue in 2019. And you know, to save a life and a soul brings sports tourism. It's healthy, it's aspirational, it's affluent. My past experience of 20 years in doing Boston sports marketing, I watched the marathon sell out hotel rooms months ahead of time at top dollar, and every waiter, every waitress was thrilled, all the hotels, and it's a very family-oriented tourism experience. So, show of hands, Miami Beach Games 2028, when we have a convention center hotel to pack the place.
What are these program games?
So we have this beautiful bay. We can have kayak and paddleboard racing. We have open water swimming to go alongside of the half marathon, a mile race. So we can, with professionals, you might get sponsors and prize dollars, and with professional athletes, you gain fans. With the amateurs that aspire to that level, whether they're college NIL, you get families and friends. So to me, it's the type of talented tourist we want to attract versus what I've experienced, or I guess the city's experienced 2 decades, feels like the lowest common denominator. You don't feel safe to walk your streets, and I've known a lot of people to fly out of town for Memorial Day, which we no longer do as a family. So that's kind of the vision. It's probably 24 different sports. Wadapalooza is amazing because it's multi-sport, high rocks as well, and the endurance sports, but I think by attracting professional athletes, it really puts the city on the map. By the end of the decade, we might see our city televised for a 3-week Miami Beach Games on an annual basis. Just like right now, we have the World Baseball Classic, hence the Marlins tie. If you guys aren't tuned in, that's my favorite sport. It's electric. The whole world's watching Miami right now. Plus, Miami Beach needs to compete with Doral, with Inter Miami Soccer Stadium that's got mixed-use development and will be attracting hotel guests. We have to compete with Wynwood. We have to compete with Coconut Grove and Homestead as a major sports complex. So we have to be forward-thinking and not just rest on our laurels that we have this beautiful beach. But we have to program it, I believe. And I think this is a good, safe way to do it. But I'll take input.
So, do I see a show of hands if that's something you guys support? Continue to move forward as a community?
And I'll follow up once I speak with the tourism department, Lisette Argante at the end of the month, and then the commissioners and so on. So I want it to be transparent and inclusive. My old tagline was everybody's welcome, with the emphasis on body for the fitness is, you know, you have a question, suggestion?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting idea. The only thing is, with the spring break as it is now, with the health part, it's really concentrated over there. What you're talking about sounds like it would come here.
To the West Ave?
Like you talk about kayak racing and stuff like that.
Potentially. You know.
So I'm just, and probably Flamingo Park for track racing and that kind of stuff. So to me, 3 weeks would seem like a long time to deal with roads shut down and stuff on this side, which right now we don't feel it.
No, that's a great question.
So that would make me a little nervous.
Each week would be a different sport theme. So let's say the first weekend with the half marathon in place firmly the last 15 years, that might be endurance sports. The following weekend might be net sports. So if the Miami Beach Tennis Club in North Beach, that needs their business too. You start diversifying across the city and then not And this is the type of, we need to discuss traffic flows and public safety. And we have 2 years, as I had, because it's gonna take that long to build off of what Blues and the other producers. So if we have 3 major sports producers now, I'm advocating we probably need 10 more to fill up 3 weeks and make it worthy of television by 2030. And,
One last question over here, and then we gotta wrap it up.
So I do have a question, and I appreciate the forward thinking and the success that we had with $1.5 million savings and better programming. I'm with you. I was thinking too about a wellness week here, where we could have the symposiums. You draw a lot of people from that. We have a wellness company opening up here on Sunset and a few others. Maybe there's a way to incorporate both, make things a little farther over to the west, to the east, and the ocean, instead of taking us out of a traffic situation and putting 2 together maybe.
So I agree, it's health, wellness, and fitness.
Yeah, open
Absolutely.
it up.
Last one, Scott.
Yeah, just real quick, this would be a national program, right, for athletics? You're talking about?
I'd like to see it and be international.
Okay,
My own
international.
tagline was the fittest destination on the planet.
The only question I would have for the challenge in this, and I certainly support it, is being mindful of the cost of an athlete trying to come here and pay these high costs at hotels, because the hotel rates are high, and if there's any way that it could be organized where they have a code and maybe the hotels will help sponsor, and maybe in some cases have a place where they can have a reduced rate for staying here during their athletic event, because it is a high cost that they have to invest to come here. And I know you want revenue and all of that, but you're kind of trying to do 2 things about the spring break, and there's a lot of things going into that thought. But anyway, just be mindful of that. If you have any, maybe we can come with some ideas that would help support and also bring a little bit of break to the athletes that come to the area.
That's a great idea.
You're
Oh, so what he was asking was the affordability for these athletes or tourists to come to town. Yes, you get an elevated price no matter what with this beautiful weather. But I do think it's something to consider, for instance, for first responders maybe getting a discount, or veterans and military and leaning that direction. Or the high school students, if we can bring a program. And so it's something to discuss for sure. That's why I'm asking now, because 23 months is actually not long. So I'm going to be asking for a board of advisors and community input. So please keep that in mind. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. I'll introduce you real quick. Introduce yourself and tell them the latest and greatest things going on at our local VFW. That's 10 of them. First 2 floors of the Floridian, so right at the end of West Avenue.
Thank you, Tim. Hey everybody, my name is Alex Kruger-DeBroda, Marine Corps veteran, and I'm the Membership and Programs Chairman at the Miami Beach VFW. It's located at the Floridian. We're the oldest and only veteran service organization on the beach since 1936. So we're an institution here all through the World War II, conversion of Miami Beach, training for World War II. Anyways, that being said, we're better than ever. If you please stop by the successful VFWs that I noticed across the country and the globe when talking to other post commanders, they're like the neighborhood beacon, and they highlight all the initiatives and things to do in the neighborhood. So use our space as your space. We should be an asset for everybody here. That being said, we have things to do every week. This Thursday we're starting bingo night. All it costs to join is buy a drink at the bar. That's our main fundraising resource. We have an event space that we rent out as well on the first floor. It's waterfront, overlooking Star Island. Amazing sunsets. Fridays we have dollar oysters from Chesapeake Bay, Virginia, fresh every Friday, 5 to 8 p.m. Please pre-order. They do sell out every week. That being said, food is still kind of an issue. So if you're a business on West Ave, we want to have food from your restaurant. We don't really care about making any money. We're a nonprofit veteran organization. We just want to be a great place to hang out. And so food is a problem. If you have any solution, please talk to me. Email ops@vfw3559. That being said, every Saturday we just started Salsa Saturdays. Free salsa class. please RSVP. It was a hit last weekend. It'll be every Saturday, once a month. There'll be live music from a band member in the Army band, the actual Army band right now. He did a big America's 250 tour. He's a UM student, so once a month he'll be playing live music with his band. Also, this year is America's 250. Okay, so it's a big important year for America, our military, our first responders. So we're doing a fundraiser campaign, and our goal this year is to raise $250,000. That's going to go to veteran infrastructure. We just opened the post a year ago, but if you go there, you can see some visible improvements. So we can really make it a place that everybody in the community would want to hang out and utilize. So please let me know. You can follow us on Instagram, VFW3559. One last thing, sorry I went really long. We got a really unique event coming up. It's a fundraiser for veteran businesses. It's a mini Renaissance fair with knights in armor fighting each other. And this is in the parking lot over on the water. So one of my good friends who's a VFW member is one of the fighters, so he's trying to get me to do it. You'll probably see me running around South Beach in knight armor. Promoting it. That'll be me, all right?
You gotta do it.
Yeah. So right now it's scheduled for March 28th. However, we might be pushing it to April 11th. But everything's on our website.
Enjoy your newsletter, right?
Yes. On our website, VFW3559.org is our newsletter. You get a weekly sit rep. That's community news, what we do in the area, how we can benefit everybody, and then upcoming events.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about Wednesday night as well?
So one of my favorite posts, what they do is a battle buddy check-in every week. So it's a nightly, check-in, an informal night where you meet together and hang out and check in on each other. And in the military, you have the battle buddy, so you can always make sure you're not alone, right? So what we did at our post is created Warrior Wednesday. That's the weekly battle buddy check-in, open to the community. We bring in a speaker every week, or do some class, or we go out in town as a group. And it's just an informal setting where we can get together and improve ourselves. And so that's every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Miami Beach VFW, pretty much a different speaker every week.
Great. Thank you very much. They also failed to mention they do have pizza on Friday as well. And they also have some of the best prices on the beach too, so thank you. All right, so a little bit of housekeeping real quick. I just wanted to survey the crowd. SoBe West has been staying close with David Martin and the city in reference to the pedestrian bridge. And this is perfect timing because Commissioner Magazine just walked in the door. Thank you. Think of parade, hike a parade. So, the pedestrian bridge, just to give you a quick update. This has been a very long, drawn-out process. And what we have found is the plans that they gave the contractor in order for the design for the bridge with the footings, unfortunately, there's all these undiscovered utilities coming over from Miami, in particular on the south side where the Icon property is. So it's making it almost impossible for them to bring this to fruition. We still haven't finalized yet, but if that's a no, if we can't do an over-the-water pedestrian bridge, I want to see a raise of hands for two options. One, we do nothing, or number two, we pursue an option of taking it over the water, kind of what they're planning to do on the other side, over by the Perez Museum. So first of all, show of hands of doing nothing, no bridge, no connection south of Fifth. Any hands for that? Okay, so it sounds like everybody wants an over the water option then? Okay. Out over the water, because currently the challenge of trying to do the pedestrian bridge is the utilities, underground utilities, are making it very difficult to put any footings for that pedestrian bridge. So that's where we are right now. We'll keep you posted, but they have to make a decision pretty soon, because again, we're all going to be in wheelchairs before you know it. We still want the connection to South Fifth. So we're all anxious to make a decision and move forward. All right, so I've heard it's pretty much unanimous that you guys want connectivity and want to continue moving south, perhaps over the water. So thank you very much. Now what I'd like to do is bring Bob on up. He's part of our nominating committee, and I'll let you talk to them what's going on tonight.
Yes, just before we begin, I wanted to thank the manager of the Waverly, Anna Amarado Goodman, and the Waverly Board for hosting this meeting tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
I've been on the nominating committee. We work very hard at enlisting and getting good candidates to run for our board. We have posted on our website an application process where they filled out an application and submitted a resume. All of the candidates went through the interview process, and then the board met and reviewed the applications. And we came up. We're very proud to present the following individuals that went through that nomination process. Tim
You can
Carr.
stand up when he calls your name as well, please.
Tim Carr.
Stand up, Tim, yeah.
Stephen Gennett. Stefan. He's our neighborhood director. Tom Hawkins. Over here. Jay Lewin. Nancy Duke. Valerie Navarette.
I'm already standing.
And Flavio Rossi. So presenting these candidates, do we have a motion to approve the election of these individuals as directed?
I'll make that motion. My name is Eric Marsh, and I'm the Waverly board member here. I move that we vote for the individuals nominated for the nominating committee as directors of the SoBe West Neighborhood Association.
Great, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Thank you. Okay. At this time, I'd like to call for a vote by show of hands. Who would approve the candidates we presented tonight? Approve. Yes.
So everyone who's on here will be on
If you vote, yes.
here. I want to see your hand, put your hand up.
Okay, see, it's overwhelmingly passed. I guess we're moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. All right, again, he did a lot of work behind the scenes to really set this up. We are really grateful and appreciative of the level of talent that applied. So I think you're going to continue to see us evolve with the people that we have on board to help meet the needs of the community. So thank you. More to come on that. Now what I'd like to do is, again, our featured speaker is, again, we are so happy to have Commissioner Vicki Lopez come to speak to you tonight. She's going to keep this casual and kind of set it up for you, and also recognize May, who also is feet on the street and helping us be on the street.
That works. Good evening. Thank you so much. Tim, thank you so much for inviting me to speak to you. So I am your new county commissioner. Many of you heard my good friend David Suarez tell you that I was the state representative. I was elected to the state House in November of 2022, and I was there until November 18th when Commissioner Higgins, who's now our Miami mayor, resigned from her seat, and I was appointed, and so I had to leave the House on the 18th and was sworn in on the 19th. So I have been the commissioner for almost 120 days now, I believe. Yes, and we hit the ground running. But if you know me, and some of you do, it's no surprise that I was doing exactly what I was doing in the Florida House. I was known as the hardest working member of the House. I hope to be the hardest working member of the County Commission. And I will just start with the anchoring limitations. So Commissioner Suarez was much too kind. It was a fight, and don't kid yourself. But I've never seen a fight I didn't like. And so when I got my hair on the water, I just thought, it cannot be. No one should have to be living like this. But it was not only a problem here, it was a problem throughout the state. But it was Commissioner Suarez who really actually fought the good fight for all of you. I ended up having to really maneuver politically because that bill was dead in the Senate. By that I mean dead on arrival. They weren't even going to hear that bill. But somehow, God always has a plan. It happened to have been important to a gentleman that you know, Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone actually lives off, on Palm Beach Island, and I went to visit him. And right in front of his backyard, he has a $35 million home, beautiful beach, with these characters, much like these characters. And I could see soap suds coming onto his beach. And believe it or not, he's an environmentalist. Who would have guessed it? And he actually sits on President Trump's environmental working group. And this became his fight too. And so I would be remiss if I told you that Commissioner Suarez and I got this done by ourselves. That is not true. Sylvester Stallone called the president and said, there's this good, crazy rep down here in Florida, and she's fighting the Senate. And lo and behold, calls were made from the White House to the Senate that said, if you think, to the Senate president, if you think you have a political future, you don't, unless you pick up Representative Lopez's bill and you pass it as is. And that is how we got it. So sometimes, we make strange bedfellows, but when it's for a good cause, that was how we did it. Now, you heard Commissioner Suarez say that the county could pass an ordinance, right? So you would think that the person who wrote and passed the anchoring limitations bill at the state level would be able to get this done now as your county commissioner. So I'm going to give you a little bit of politics 101 so that you understand how the county commission works. So there's this thing called a hold. So, I said I'm going to align the county's ordinance to my own bill. So you're supposed to go to the county attorney's office and you're supposed to say, I would like for you to help me draft legislation. Except that in the county, and I guess I should tell you, I'm going to preface this to put it in context for you. I am one of 13 warlords. I have my own kingdom and I play in the Game of Thrones. I do. And that's just the way the county commission works. And so I am not allowed to file a piece of legislation that another commissioner has a hold on it. Yeah. So everything I want to do, someone's already got a hold on it. Oftentimes, not because they want to do anything, but they don't want anyone else to do it. Now, I come from a very different world. The Florida House, I led, you may know that I was the condo queen in the Florida House. I could file any piece of legislation I wanted, and I had the trust of leadership, and I could move my bill and hope and pray, like the anchoring limitations, that you can get it across the line. So right now, I have drafted legislation that will align the county code to my anchoring limitations bill, but someone else has it. And here's the other side of the story. When you become a county commissioner, like you are a city commissioner, you have this thing called sunshine. So I can't talk to that commissioner that has a hold on it, which I could do in the state. I could speak to any of my colleagues, I could work bills out, and we would pass good legislation in the end. So now, I'm sort of stuck, right? I'd have to have a sunshine meeting, and county commissioners often don't feel like having those. So I have somehow gotten that piece of legislation to him, and I pray and hope, because I've said to everyone in the county, I've checked my ego at the door. I don't care that my name be on the legislation. I just want it done. And that is who you have standing before you as your county commissioner. I just want to get things done. A lot of people are trying to be a lot of things. I was already someone when I was elected to the state house, and I'm certainly someone today as your county commissioner. So we've just got to find ways to get things done. So that leads me to tell you what your county commissioner who represents you faces. So I only have one unincorporated area in my district, and that happens to be Fisher Island. So I have to pay attention to every single thing that happens there. And believe it or not, the haves and the have-mores do have issues. They do. And I have already proven that I'm working hard. I've been on the island several times already, trying to resolve issues that are important to them. So remember, everything's relative. The rest of my district, and so you should know what I represent. On the beach, I represent everything south of Dade Boulevard, and then everything east of Pine Tree and Collins up to 54. So I have a piece of Mid Beach, and then I have all of South Beach. And I want you to know that I'm very proud to officially represent you. And I say that because as your state rep, I did not represent this area, but I did a lot for her. I brought home more money. I'm the person who has the $4.8 million appropriation for Lincoln Road's pedestrian walkway. There are things that I was being asked to do by my leadership to insert myself in a district that did not belong to me, but because I was in leadership, I could prevail and I could get you what you needed. So today, I am really proud to say I officially now represent Miami Beach. And that's important to me. On the mainland, I now represent still a piece of my House district. I represent all of Brickell, all of the roads, everything south of 6th Street in downtown, and then I represent the sort of Little Havana, Shenandoah, Silver Bluff to Douglas Road. It's a very diverse district, but I'm very fortunate in Miami Beach, especially, to be working with all 7 of the city commissioners and the mayor. I've had a good relationship with all of them. I know that Commissioner Magazine is here. He and I have worked on things even before I became your commissioner. I am able to do that, and I'm grateful that for, at least in Miami Beach, your city commissioners actually are all voted in citywide. So I get to work with all of them on all the issues. And I've pledged to do that where I can. Now, I will say this. There are a lot of constituents that call me from the beach, and they say, look, I have this problem, and I say, listen, that's not a county issue, but I know exactly what to do. I know who to call, because I also work very closely with the administration, the mayor and his administration. So it's very easy. What I would tell you is we have a really good working partnership, and I'm grateful to that. I'm grateful, Commissioner Magazine, that you're here tonight, as well as Suarez and the mayor. It's important that we work together. So on the things that are not city related, if it's federal or state or county, you can count on me as well. I've had a rich history of advocacy at the federal level, and of course I still have very good friends left at the state level, and will have them for at least the next 8 years. So I'm excited to be able to help you in any way. One of the things that Tim pointed out to me today was the need for a 4-way stop sign at the curve at the end of, as we get closer to the entrance to I-395. We're not sure really who we have to call. So I'm going to start with FDOT, the Florida Department of Transportation. If it's not them, then I'll go to the county. And if it's not them, then I'll ask my good friends on the city commission to help us with that, right? And I know, Commissioner Magazine, that you spent some time this weekend looking at that intersection.
It's 6th and West Avenue.
6th and West
I
Avenue.
spent my whole life looking at that.
Yes, I'm aware. So we will work together to try to fix that. But it's that kind of thing. Like, look, May is my district coordinator. She's my eyes and ears on the ground here every single day. But I've been on the beach more than I can ever remember in the last 120 days, because for me it's important to hear what is important to you. And I can only help solve problems if you tell me. So we certainly hope that we will have an ongoing conversation around issues that are important to you all, not the least of which is I've been fighting a homeless problem in my district, because where do you think the hot spots are? I asked for a map just yesterday, as the County Commission also struggles with homelessness around the county. I asked for a hot spot of District 5. You'd be surprised how many are in Miami Beach. You'd be surprised how many are on the mainland. So we're working closely to try to figure out ways in which we can move these people into treatment or into a home that, puts them out of the street. I mean, I met a woman who's been living on the street for 20 years in downtown Miami, and she is shelter resistant. She doesn't want help, but that's because she's suffering from schizophrenia. So she does not know that she shouldn't be on the street. And so we have a challenge, but the city has really done a great job of lowering the numbers. I pledge to continue to do whatever I can to be helpful in that regard as well. I'm also working with Commissioner Vaught, who has this great interest in micromobility devices. So I ran a bill on micromobility devices that allow the local governments to be able to regulate them. And so she just called me today about bike helmets. So It's the little things like that that make a difference because it's the quality of life that we're trying to protect here. So I'm just here, honestly, to listen. And I'm grateful to see so many people come out and care deeply about SoBe West. Because, you know, it's interesting. I've been around the whole South Beach, and I will say this about the beach. You have some of the most amazing minds advocating for a better life for everyone. And that is not lost on me, because I must tell you, I don't have that on the mainland. There isn't that sense of engagement the way there is here. So I'm very excited to be your county commissioner. As you may know, I was appointed, and the county charter says I must face an election, the first countywide race, which will be August 18th. So I pray and hope that I'll continue to work on your behalf. But we are working hard to try to figure out ways in which we do just what we need to do today. So I'm anxious to hear from you if you have any comments or questions. Yes, sir.
The pedestrian walkways in West Avenue, when you're out there at night, no car stops, okay? You know, you walk in, you're trying to cross West Avenue, and the cars just, they turn. Is there any way about flashing lights, you know, that light up? I mean, it's pretty scary.
Yes. So, is that, where exactly is that?
Go ahead,
Joey,
Commissioner.
yes.
So I would actually like to do one more than flashing lights. We are working on flashing lights at several intersections right now. In fact, it was probably about 6 months ago, we put in four-way stop sign actually right out front of here. What I would like to do, we're looking at doing it in front of 6th Street, which leads into Cappany Park, just because that part of the West Avenue has already been raised and repaved. And then as other areas of West Avenue get raised and repaved, actually have an elevated crosswalk at some of our key intersections. So not only will you have the flashing stop signs, but that's actually going to serve as a speed mitigation measure as well. Because people drive on roads, not as we want them to, but as the roads are designed. And there's some areas of West Avenue where the road is actually 5 lanes wide, right? That is just crazy to me. I've been working with our transportation department on that. People, if you're going to speed limit, will actually pass you on both sides of it, possibly even to the right-hand side as well, which is very dangerous. So we need to actually have urban planning that actually incorporates ways that force people to slow down and drive safer. We've tried having police run their studies out here, and they all come back and say, well, it's not really a problem. Because if you just go out as a point in time and do measurements in one single spot, it probably isn't that big. But I have a 9-year-old child. One of her first meetings was actually right over there when she was 2 or 3 months old. I brought her here. So thinking of pedestrian safety is on the top of my mind, not just as an elected leader, but as a father that walks these streets every single day. So we're going to be doing a lot more. We're working on the stop signs a little further south. We got the stop signs out here. We have an item on this month actually for the flashing crosswalk signals in various points, but also the longer term plan has to be a better design of our roadways, because we can't just keep playing whack-a-mole, having police monitor sometimes or not. They have to be long-term sustainable structures.
Yes.
If I can just have somewhat of an opposing view on the 6th and West four-way stop. 6th Street, as you know, was abandoned by the city when they built this tower down there, east of West. So that's not really a road. And I think the only traffic that comes out crossing West is from Bentley Bay. So rather than have a four-way stop, it might be better to have a flashing red light when someone's coming out from Bentley Bay, trip a red light to have a stop.
What do you think?
Like on the Mission Causeway does that.
One of the issues, and perhaps we can talk to the four-way stop sign is right, but what can really be problematic is when people are driving on West Avenue South to go, people think they're going to be going to the causeway, but they could be making that left-hand turn on the 6th Street right there, and it just, you think naturally that there's a stop sign on the other side because of the way the road's set up. Very rarely do you ever come across a four-way street and there's not a stop sign. So I've seen numerous people almost every single day. They will be going southbound on West Avenue, go to make that left-hand turn, thinking somebody's going to stop, is coming northbound, but there's no stop sign there for them.
Yeah, and I'll add, I'm a manager of Bentley Bay. Everybody thinks they have the right of way, and it's a collision they don't. So it's
We've
very
already had
dangerous
2
right there.
accidents so far today
Yeah.
that have actually gone airborne, going southbound, and hitting the light pole, and the landscaping almost hitting the Billy Bay retail establishment right there, when people are drunk driving in particular in a rush. So because it's a curve, it's extremely dangerous on top of it.
Well, I for one just decided that I did away with the previous four-way stop, because otherwise, when I come from here down to there, I stop at every single street except for one, with a stoplight or a stop sign.
Got it. Yes, sir.
Scott?
Oh, and in addition to that, you know, when you live in Bentley Bay, which I do, and you're coming from 6th Street into the Bentley Bay area, there's instances where people just fly through there. They don't even looking to see if the pedestrian is coming from that direction toward where we live. And so it is very dangerous. It's more dangerous coming toward your building than it is leaving your building.
I will work with Commissioner Magazine, because I know it's important too. So let's just, we'll figure it out. We'll start with, is it FDOT? Because everyone says that we have to talk to FDOT. I'm not sure about that. But we'll find out if we can move them out the way.
You're always so great at helping navigate the different bureaucracies, which is oftentimes 90% of the battle.
Great. Yes, ma'am.
So the laws haven't caught up with this yet, I realize, but on the beach there is a wild proliferation of e-bikes and electric scooters, and none of them stop at lights. None of them stop at lights. So I just want to throw that out there, that that's something that at some point needs to be legislated, so that people.
And they're on sidewalks too.
That's a big.
They go against traffic. But it's not legislated, so they're allowed to because they're like bikes. But all of that has to be considered and thought of as this becomes more common. They didn't have electric bikes or scooters when the laws were written.
So let me, I'll give you an update on that. So, you know, when I was a state legislator, I tried to do it for 4 years, and they gave me a little sliver of success. It is such a problem around the state that the Sheriff's Association, the Florida Sheriff's Association, had a bill passed this year that actually creates a task force to study the issue statewide. And I'll tell you why, because I always am trying to exempt Miami-Dade County because we're different than Holmes County. How many of you even know where Holmes County is? Of course you do. However, for those of you that don't, it's a small county. It has 15,000 people that live in Fannin. So here's the problem with when I'm talking about the problems that we have here with these devices. School children use it to get to school in rural communities, right? And remember, there's a piece of Florida, and I always, I mean, I'm sorry that I don't have a big map of Florida so I can show you just how different the thinking is around the state. So in the rural counties, they hate government, they don't want any regulation, they don't want anything. Mind you, here, we need it. We absolutely need it. So now I'm told, and I talked to our own sheriff, who's very well regarded in the Florida Sheriff's Association, and I said to her, you must have a seat at the table, because we have deaths going on. We don't just have, you know, people being hit by them or people not stopping at stoplights. We have people dying as a result of these devices. So hopefully she will be a good voice for the problems that exist in our community versus those that exist somewhere else. And what I'm told is out of that task force will come recommendations for legislation. So hopefully next session we will see it. Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you so much for coming. It's really great to hear from you. The fact that you came out here and talked to us is really fantastic. Two quick questions. The first is, how do we get in touch with you if we do want to talk to you?
So May's right here. She has her business cards. But Tim also knows how, and maybe we could put this out.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't bring our information cards. I'm sorry that we're coming from somewhere else, but we'll make sure that everyone knows how to get a hold of us for certain. Please don't hesitate.
So second question, I'm sure as you know, depending on when you decide to drive across that bridge between your two different parts of your country, it can be an absolute nightmare. I mean, it could be taking an hour during a long time just across the bridge. So given that transportation is part of your purview, I'm just curious if you have any initial thoughts on how to deal with the traffic that we deal with across the bridges just to get you from the main.
So I know that you all remember prior to my arrival that there was this proposal of doing the Bay Link, and you know that south of Fenn passed a resolution opposing it, right? Thus, where we find ourselves, right? What are we to do with a transportation issue? So the mayor, implemented this water taxi, and we're up to like 1,000 people using it a day and growing, because it was at 800 a month ago. So people are using the water taxi. The question is it on the mainland? It's not the same as over here. You have to park in a garage, and there's no discounted parking there. So what is the point, right? It's not as easy to get to either, because the stop is at Edgewater, and it's close to Margaret Pace Park, where there are a lot of people that live in Edgewater. But what about the people that live in Brickell, which is where I live, right? So I don't think we have solved it. Now, the people south of 5th have what's known as a Smart Traffic Coalition. I'm meeting with them this week as well to understand what is their alternative, if not the Bailey Bill. What are their options, right? It's a good question, because I honestly believe that we're losing the funding to do anything. If you don't build the project, the funding goes somewhere else. So now the question is, where are we? I know that the Mayor Higgins has said, now that she's mayor of Miami, that she's going to continue to try to do the Bay Lake. I don't know what will happen, because I don't even know what happened to the funding. But it is probably the biggest, besides the fact that people who work here can't live here, it's the biggest problem is, how do we get here? And on any given day, look, I had a meeting here at 8 a.m. when I was in a parking lot from Brickell here, right? And now going home, there will probably be a parking lot leaving the island. And it's a lot has to do with the fact that people who work here can't live here, who service the tourism industry. So their commute is 2 hours. And so they're stuck in traffic. And so I think I am a member of the Transportation Planning Organization, as a member of the County Commission, and I know that Commissioner Suarez represents the city of Miami Beach there. And we have to try to figure out solutions to this. That's going to be one of the first things. Because remember, Mayor Higgins, she was known for her housing policies and her transportation. She's an engineer who's looking at ways in which to improve the transportation network. But short of her idea of the Bay Lane, I think we're going to be very much challenged to find a solution.
Just let me jump in real quick. So, and you can jump in too as well, just real quick. So right now, something we can do right away is we already have a bus system that's underutilized and under designed, and you can do a flex system when high traffic volumes, designated lanes for those buses to come and go. It's an infrastructure we already have. We know once that bridge is built out, that's going to, open very well. But we can do right now with the existing, with a lot more cost effective, this whole smart mass transit system with our current buses and designated lanes during high traffic volumes.
Yeah.
Move people through.
Certainly an idea.
I was just going to say that, and it has nothing to do with the delay of any sort, but the actual cost for the Bay Link is more than doubled.
Oh, yeah.
So it's never a financially feasible project, and these are things that you always have to take into account. When it was being vetted just several years ago, they were using estimates that Genting, the casino operator, led a study in 2017. So those cost estimates were never realistic.
No, I agree. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I also live in New York, and of course, New York has a wonderful ferry system that links all of Manhattan with Brooklyn. So how about just expanding the ferry and inclusive of weekends, right?
Yeah, because right now the water taxi is not working on weekends, which is when I need them to work, because that's when the people on the mainland want to come to the beach, and maybe the beach people want to come to the mainland. So yeah, I think that that's all going to be on the table. I'm curious how we're going to pay for it. Because I will tell you this. So I was the chairman of the Florida House's Property Tax Reform Committee before leaving. And property tax reform is coming. It's coming no matter what happens. And now we're faced to try to estimate what does that mean in terms of decreased revenues to the county. And I want you to know the homestead property taxes total $2.4 billion in the county. So that all goes into the general revenue, and that's how we fund everything that we do here, right? Other than the airport and the seaport. So those are independent enterprise funds. So the question is, if there's any reduction at all in those revenues, I have coined the phrase now that I'll be living in Hunger Games, where there's a diminishing pot of money and everyone wanting a piece of it. And I think we're entering into probably one of the worst budget years ever in the history of Miami-Dade County. And I'm not certain what the cities will be doing, because they too will face decreasing revenues. So all of this we won't know how much money we have to play with, if you will, to solve transportation problems until we know what the actual impact is going to be of property tax reform. But you know, we're gonna have to make some tough decisions. Thank you.
My friend Alex Kruger mentioned the 250th anniversary of our country, and I could probably ask the boomers in the room if you remember the bicentennial.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that was electric, and we're about 3 months away, and we've really not heard much. I know that the county mayor's office broadcast something about plans to celebrate, but right now Miami is considered the capital of the Western Hemisphere for the LATAM, for Chicago and New York firms moving down here, and we have all eyes on our city. What can your office do to help your constituency here and across the bridge affordably celebrate with global style?
So I don't know what the mayor's plans are. She has been meeting on a weekly basis with all of the appropriate and relevant people in the county. She's not yet disclosed what the plans are, but I'm pretty sure very soon she'll have to tell us. But I am certain that it'll probably be a pretty big event. Because you're absolutely right, Kevin. What's happening in Miami-Dade County is that more and more people, every time something happens outside of Florida, more people come. You'd probably be surprised to know that 1,000 people are moving to Florida per day. Many of them coming here. And so, it's our no income tax, freedom in ways in which are described elsewhere as different. I think the issue is 250 years will be celebrated in style. I'm pretty sure you can count on that. As soon as we know what the plans are, we'll certainly insert ourselves to ensure that.
Follow-up is like, what can we do to help? Because it's we people, literally, we have to go on the Blue Star Highway marks in our neighborhood. So you don't have to answer now, but your office should ask.
No, of course. No, and listen, I represent the most beautiful district in all of Miami-Dade County, I like to say. So if you're celebrating 250 years, you should be celebrating it in District 5, and in a big way. Any other questions? Yes.
Just one comment I'd like to make to the Commissioner, and that is, when we heard the last one of these meetings, we heard about the farm regulation changing and about more high-rises being able to come in. And of course, for many of us who invested in South Beach and for the historic nature of the Art Deco, which kind of goes deep in our blood when we were little kids coming here and playing and being a part of this community. And I would just only hope that in your wisdom and your decision making and representing this community, that we need to somehow, with this new growth and development, that we preserve the integrity of the Art Deco historic part of South Beach, because that's what South Beach is and that's where we came from. And I hate to see that be, go away because of greed and high rises and turn into something that's already everywhere else.
Right.
And that's what makes us unique and people enjoy, is that we kept the integrity, we still did growth, and we got to have the heart and the spirit to maintain the integrity of the arts and that Art Deco design. So I hope you share the same spirit of that as our new commissioner.
I do, actually. I think preservation of first of all, our community is unique. There's no other place like Miami Beach, in my opinion. And I have always been a strong supporter of historic preservation, have fought some of the bad bills, even those that thought we could demolish them. So no worries. I obviously, the county doesn't have any jurisdiction over that, but I have been a strong supporter and will always be a vocal one. So thank you for that.
So that goes back to the live local, what
Yes.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Tallahassee just wrapped up last Friday. They keep moving the ball down, trying to take more and more away from local jurisdictions. But we've already started to meet with commissioners and the mayor, Jay Newman and myself, to talk about the live local threats, because it's all top of mind for all of us.
It is. I'm actually giving a presentation tomorrow at the County Commission meeting about all the bad bills that have passed. a lot of bad bills and how they're going to impact.
Could you post that on your website? And that would be a good review.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't it be great if we could make them fix up some of the low rises in here instead of giving them taller buildings to house people? But that aside, so welcome back, Commissioner Lopez. It's good to have you here with us. Two things. The bridge, the MacArthur Causeway. Is there anything we can do to speed that along? I think Ron DeSantis built a bridge fast in Sarasota, right?
3 days.
Yeah,
I'm
3
always
or
curious
4.
why
Why
the
can't
signature bridge is
this
taking
10 years?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Especially with all these people coming, wouldn't we want to be welcoming with a great finished bridge instead of a, mistake that can't be finished?
No, and actually it's even worse on the other side.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Come down the exit, it's just one big hot mess.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
like-
have no idea what is taking so long.
Well, problem after problem, right? But it just doesn't bode well, I think, for having to be the welcome to Miami Beach. And then another of my more local are the trees that they have the execution signs on them around 16th and West with the Miami Beach Improvement Project. I just don't understand how cutting down fully matured, beautiful,
Oh, I
healthy
live right there, I
trees
can tell you.
I do not
It's
know
necessary,
what that issue
unfortunately.
is. Like it was a city issue.
They are widening the streets, so the sidewalk we're losing sidewalk, therefore they need to move the trees. That's the
Stefan,
short
you
of
want to
it.
talk about that real quick?
There you go, you're the expert, he's
So
our leader.
actually, we've been talking with staff, and we had a meeting last week about this. And as part of the West Avenue Phase 2, we just realized that a lot of trees were being, cut. And just like it's really sad because you see some very healthy oak trees and things. What we're trying to suggest is a program that would kind of work that way. Because, like some of these trees are being more mature, they need to be taken care of in advance if we want to try to save them. So it might take a year, but as far as pruning and all this, the idea would be to say, hey, if any organization or private residents want to adopt this tree, meaning take that tree, there will be an agreement with a third party that will be a recognized proper landscaper that would take that tree, relocate it wherever you want it to be. The residents or the organization, for example, would pay for that, but the tree would be free. So we're trying to develop this kind of program. What's very interesting is they're looking at how we can relocate the trees within the city, but we realize that, for example, within the city, we're not covering it all. Like the high school and some other schools are not considered as part of the city, so we don't ask them. And then you have some schools are begging to have more trees. And there's no communication, there's nothing happening there. So this is something we are currently working on. We're asking staff to push for this because it's on the principle. At the same time, we currently have a program asking the residents, where would you like to add trees and shades? And we're cutting them down at the same time.
Yeah, they gotta take them out, and then they they have to put them somewhere, so we're gonna pay to take them out and then pay for
Exactly.
them.
So we're working hard on this. Yeah,
Maybe a
so-
shade study.
Exactly.
Maybe just a shade study, find out where we're lacking and where, we can put up the appropriate size tree in the sidewalk that we need to make it wide enough for everybody to fit. But
Right now, what's happening is honestly, when somebody's bidding on a contract, the contractor doesn't necessarily have an incentive. It's
Does it
like
have in his backyard?
he's got, cutting it is easier.
Yeah, it is, and it's
And that's the sad part. So we're fully aware of this. There's a little bit of resistance,
It's
but we're
funny
asking for
because
it.
I was at the event over at Perez, right, with the architects that talked about sustainability, and their biggest driver was, green spaces and mature trees and root systems, and this all goes back to the sustainability of us being on a lower lying island. So to get rid of the things that help with the very project we're working on, kind of just.
It's going to be our baby project, and we're pushing hard.
Well, let us know what you need.
I would love
I'm
that.
gonna speak for half the rest of
Thank you.
Good job. Help me with whatever you need.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Just something about the bay length that you mentioned, because it sounds like you're in favor of it, and if I remember correctly, part of the opposition in Miami Beach is that for the area a mile around where the terminus is on our side, it blows out the farm. So the buildings cannot abide by the existing FAR if they're within a mile of the terminus up in Fifth Street, which is partly why Miami Beach residents have been opposed to it, because, you know, we're doing our best to try to respect the existing FAR to keep this a beach community and not Brickell. Sorry.
No,
And
it wasn't meant to be.
so that's part of our reluctance as well, not just the.
No, understood. I've heard lots of different reasons. I just don't know whether it's feasible anymore, but I think the commissioner was correct in saying it doubled in price and now we don't even have the money for it. So it's a challenge. Any other questions or comments? I think May handed out our contact cards so you all know how to contact us. And I'll leave you with this. If you're interested in serving on any of the county boards, I have a lot of appointments to make. And so go on the county website, look at the boards there, and if you have an interest, contact me. I'd love very much to have some of my Miami Beach residents on these boards. Thank you again, Tim. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you again. We really appreciate your time and effort. And thank you all again tonight. I know you have a lot of competing priorities, but thank you for coming out and being engaged in the community. Please go to SoBeWest.com and make sure you subscribe to our newsletter. Share it with your neighbors as well. The more engaged we all are, the better we all benefit for our community. So we'll look forward to following up with our next meeting, most likely in April, and we have some very exciting topics coming for you. Thank you, everyone. There's just more beer and wine and food in the back, too.